Hey, what's up guys? It's Andrew Santowski. I'm giving you another UFC Fight Night prediction video. This time, UFC Fight Night, Perez versus Taira. This event goes down Saturday, June 15th, 2024. Prelims begin at 4. ESPN Plus. It's going down from the Apex, Las Vegas, Nevada. Flyweights headline the card. Alex Perez, coming off a very short turnaround. He headlined in in April, and now he's headlining in June. So here we go, guys. First fight up, Shilan Nurembiki against Costa. And right now, the betting odds have Costa as a minus 185 favorite. So let's look at these guys' records here. It's going down in the men's featherweight division. Costa, one fight losing streak, 27 years old. It's coming off a loss to Steve Garcia. I think both are. I'm going to side with Costa here, but Nurembiki might be a live dog here. He is 30 years old. One fight losing streak. Lost to Steve Garcia too, but back in April of 2023. So he's had over a year layoff. Nice wins over Derek Minner, TJ Brown, Sean Soriano. Guys that just, you know, obviously we know are not UFC caliber. But, yeah, I'm going to side with Costa here. Tagir Ulanbekov against Joshua Van. Very interesting in the men's flyweight division. I've never been really too high on Tagir. He has lost to Tim Elliott before. 32 years old. 2-fight losing streak. Nice wins over that was a nice win over Cody Durden. Nate Maness. I do like Nate Maness as a fighter. I thought he was good at bantamweight, but then he dropped down to flyweight. Joshua Van, this guy's been on an absolute roll, man. 6-fight winning streak. Wins over Felipe Bunes, Kevin Borjas, Zalgas. Like I said, he was supposed to fight Taira, but that fight, I think they bumped Taira to the main event. So I'm going to side with Van here, man. I just think he's the more dangerous striker, but if Tagir can just keep dragging him to the ground and holding him there, then Tagir's going to win the fight. But I'm going to side with Van. Jika Saragih against Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson, he's just been getting knocked out in all his fights. 35 years old, lost to Gene Silva, lost to Joe Anderson Brito. I mean, they're not giving him no easy fights. But then Jika, this guy is from Indonesia, 29 years old, 1-fight winning streak. He's coming off a win over Lucas Alexander, which I believe was an upset win. Yeah, he was a plus 390 dog, so props to him. I'm going to side with Jika here. Julia Palastri against Josephine Knutsson. I'm going to side with Knutsson here, man. You kind of know what you're getting here, man. She's a very good grappler. Coming off a win over Marnik, man, which is nothing to rave about because we know Marnik, man, is just terrible. She just absolutely ragged out Marnik in that fight. Julia Palastri hasn't made her UFC debut yet. She's only fought in the Contender Series, so I think Josephine Knutsson, she has one fight of UFC experience. I think she's going to give her the UFC welcome, man. And I'm going to side with Knutsson here. Carly Judice against Gabriel Fernandes. Let's look at that betting odds for this fight. If we can find them. We have Gabriel Fernandes is minus 260, Judice is plus 220. I'm gonna have to side with Fernandes here, man. Carly Judice she's 3-1 as a pro. 1-fight losing streak on the Contender Series to Anesta Kirikaiti. Split decision. And she's got a lot of first-round finishes and stuff. Gabriel Fernandes, she's 0-2 in the UFC. Training on an MMA Masters, lost to Teresa Bleda and Jasmine Jasdovicia, so she's not losing to the best talent here, but I'm gonna side with Fernandes. Adam Fujit against Josh Quinlan. I'm gonna side with Quinlan here. I did think these two previously fought, but they didn't. Quinlan's on a 2-fight losing streak, but man, he's fought two absolutely dangerous strikers, man. And Trey Waters and Danny Barlow, oh my God. There was times where I thought he had Danny Barlow hurt, but Danny Barlow just used his range and that and just really put Quinlan out in the 3rd round. So it's hard to say how much damage Quinlan may have taken, man. You know, we don't know how this guy's going to look here. This guy took a tremendous amount of damage. Man, Adam Puget, 35 years old, coming off a 1-fight losing streak to Mike Malott. No shame in that. We know how good Mike Malott is. He's also lost to Morales, but I'm going to side with Quinlan here. Nate Maness against Jimmy Flick. I'm surprised Jimmy Flick is still going. Well, you know, he's still going because he picked up a win over Malcolm Gordon. You know, Malcolm Gordon laid an egg in his retirement fight against Jimmy Flick at the UFC Toronto card, and you know, now Flick is still hanging around, and I just think Nate Maness is just going to beat him up, man. I like Nate Maness here. 1-fight winning streak. Won by ground and pound, and I can just see him finishing Flick by ground and pound too, man. I think he survives any submission attempts and just gets Flick out of there. Lucas Almeida against Timothy Cuamba. I'm going to side with Timmy Cuamba here. He's on a 1-fight losing streak. He fought back in February. Lost a split decision to Oki. And I think that was on very short notice, but he put on a valiant performance. Lucas Almeida, 2-fight losing streak. We've seen that he lost to Sabatini and Fili. Again, not the best losses. It was a nice one over Trezano, but that was a while ago. He doesn't look the same. I'm going to side with Timothy Cuamba. Miles Johns against Douglas Silva de Andrade. Last time I looked at this fight, this thing was pick'em, and it still is. And I'm going to side with Andrade here, man. I don't know. I typically always go against Johns for the most part, but he absolutely beat Cody Gibson, so that was a bad pick by me last time around for Johns. He beat Cody Gibson, he beat Vince Morales, lost to John Castaneda. So I mean, he's definitely turned around a little bit in his UFC career, because it didn't look like he was going to be around for a while. 30 years old, Fortis MMA. So I'm against Douglas Silva de Andrade, who's built like an absolute tank at bantamweight. My God, 38 years old, so he's 8 years older. He's got a win over Cody Stamen in his last fight, lost to Syed, but again, beat Sergey Mazarov. I'm going to side with Douglas Silva de Andrade. Asu Almabaev against Jose Johnson. Very interesting fight, man. Jose Johnson, he's got a lot of length and reach. At flyweight, he's 6 feet tall. Or I should say bantamweight. 6 feet tall, 29 years old. That guy is huge for bantamweight. Coming off a nice one over Chad Ellinger. We've seen how good Chad Ellinger looked in his last fight. But he's going up against Asu Almabaev, who's just ragdolling guys, man. 30 years old. Oh, Jose Johnson is dropping down to flyweight. Wow. We'll see how he even does, man. But he's coming off a nice one over Vergara, Osborne. This guy's ragdolling people, man. And I'm going to side with Almabaev. But, man, it'd be really interesting if Jose Johnson can use his reach at all and just keep this fight standing, or just really impose his height and reach on Almabaev. Garrett Armfield against Brady Heaston. Credit to Heaston, man, for you know, showing some toughness and picking up some UFC wins, man. I'd like to see what type of improvements he can make in his game, but he hasn't fought in over a year. He's 25 years old, coming off a win over Dana Baccaril, who we know has a limited ground game. And Garrett Armfield, really impressed with this guy, man. This guy's knocking people out. He's beating quality competition, man. He finished Kazama at that UFC Singapore card. Beat Brad Katona in his last fight. This guy's looked really good, man. And I'm gonna side with Armfield here to keep it going. Andre Muniz against Ikram Aliskerov. It's funny how the UFC kind of just, they're not doing Andre Muniz any favors, man. Ever since he fumbled that bag against Brandon Allen in the main event, they're not really giving him any favors, man. He's coming off a win over Jung Young Park, which probably helped save his UFC career, but he's got 2 previous losses to Paul Craig and Brendan Allen, you know. So this guy was a submission threat at one point. He still is. He's going up against a very feared striker here in Aliskerov, who's coming off a win over Werley Alves, who's a very tough dude. Knocked out Phil Hawes. So this guy's probably going to want to avoid the ground with Muniz, but I'm going to side with Aliskerov to keep it rolling. Alex Perez against Taira. Taking a quick look at the betting odds, we have Perez as a plus 145 dog. Come back on Taira, minus 170. And I like Perez here, man. The 5-round experience, obviously. Perez better not take this to the ground. Taira's been on an absolute tear in the men's flyweight division. He's 24-0. He's an undefeated fighter, man. He's beat Carlos Fernandes, Edgar Shiras, Jesus Aguilar, CJ Vergara, Carlos Candelaro. So he's like 5-0 in the UFC, going against Alex Perez. 1-fight winning streak, 32 years old, coming off a win over Mateus Nicolau. Nice knockout. Lost to Mokaev before that. So I like that he's staying active and he's fighting the top competition. I'm going to side with Perez here. He's got 5-round experience. But, you know, hey, man, Taira might really shine. And I think the UFC would rather see Taira win this fight. He's the younger guy, Japanese prospect. He's looked very good, man. He's handled fighting in the States very well, you know. And that's a tough travel for those guys. Perez, like I said, I'm going to take him because he's the dog, man. You're getting a plus 145 return with this guy. So I'm not going to pass that up with Perez. So I'm going to side with Perez here. But again, I can see Taira winning this fight. But Perez got the 5 rounds experience. He's probably the better striker. He's got to avoid the ground with this guy, though. So I'm going to side with Perez. So, guys, my picks. Perez, Aliskerov, Armfield, Almabaev, Silva de Andrade, Cuamba, Maness, Quinlan. I side with Fernandes, not Judice. Knutsson, Saragih. I'm taking Joshua Van, not Ulanbekov. And Costa.